on, everybody? Hey, it's Wednesday, or I don't know. Who knows what day it is, really. But welcome to the Viall. I'm your host, Nick, joined by the elite team of Chrissy, Allie, and Amanda. What's going on, ladies?
Not much is going on.
Wow.
I have to tell you, I went out to a bar. Here's something. I went out to a bar, and I'm curious. A boy went up and started immediately talking about how sexy I was and how he would tear up my pussy. And I think that is an abrupt way to speak to somebody.
I agree.
Like, who says that?
You have to be so unbelievably hot if you're going to talk like that. Like,
Oh,
you
wait,
have to
it's
be
a- oh,
so
you-
hot and powerful if you're going to say something like that when you first meet
Yes.
someone.
Wait. So hot and powerful gives you possibly some sort of permission to do that?
No.
Permission?
No.
No. Chance of success? Yes.
Okay.
Oh, interesting.
I just mean if you're going to be like that direct, I think you have to be packing a real punch. Like you have to have a really obvious reason to be that confident.
I'm teasing, and I have a friend, I guess, but he would get sauced, and it would work for him. A good-looking, confident guy, and he would walk up to them and you know, a bar situation, and he'd be like, I want to take you home and go down on you and make you come all night long. And
Go home with you and tear as a verb are very different things.
either way, he would talk about how he wanted to make them come. That was his opener, was talking about making them come.
Yeah,
and
I think it's weird.
it would work for him.
It didn't work for me, but that guy did end up going home with a girl.
I just want to
Right.
say, listen,
Somebody
it's
else.
a big risk
It is.
to have your opener be easily assumed as sexual harassment if they don't like it. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Totally.
Right? You have the right to think of that as sexual harassment or not. But like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't think anyone would call you crazy for being like uncomfortable and violated in that situation. Right? And that's not the same as a guy like having the courage to say, hi, you're pretty.
Yeah, no. That was the opposite of what happened.
Balls on that one.
But that guy did go home with a girl that night. Somebody did go for it, but I was shocked that somebody actually went for it.
But when you think about it from his standpoint, if he's at the bar saying, I know what I want to leave with is a pussy to tear up, then it makes sense for him to be that direct. I think it's a kind of a bad way to engage with people. Like, I'm not defending him, but I do think it's probably a very effective way. Like, it's a great weed out course.
All right. Well, we have a great episode for you. The delightful Christa Allen is with us. I saw Christa on TikTok, and I was like, isn't that the girl from 13 going on 30? And I only knew this because I saw an interview of her talking about that because she's like close to 30 now. So we have a fun conversation about getting older, growing up, dating in our 20s and life. And she was absolutely delightful. Really enjoyed my conversation with Christa. She's a great follow on TikTok and Instagram, so check her out there. And I'm sure you will love this episode. If for nostalgia purposes, go back and watch 13 going on 30. And perspective, what a tricky thing to learn in life. And we talk about that today. Don't forget to send in your questions at asknick@castme.com, cast with a K, for our Ask Nick episodes. Be sure to check that Monday's episode out if you haven't listened to it already, for some sage dating stories and advice. Next week, Sheila Kelly joins us to talk about pole dancing. Actually, it's a lot more than that. One of my favorite conversations I've had in a long time is with Sheila. Women empowerment, finding your sexuality, you're kind of feeling comfortable with your kind of erotic self, and how men and women can better communicate. And we really get into the weeds in such a great way, and really appreciate Sheila. So that's next week. You'll love it. Be sure to check that out. But right now, we have Christa Allen for you. Christa, thanks so much for coming in.
Thanks for having me.
I'm very excited to have you on. It's funny, I was aware of your existence. Obviously, you've been around for a while, but I really started following you and paying attention to you when you were like, hey, if you want to feel old, I'm about to turn 30. And I was like, yeah. Thanks. It was right up there with the Macaulay Culkin turning 40 tweet back in the day.
Right.
And I thought that was really funny. And so I started following your stuff, and then you are really entertaining on social, and then you put out this TikTok. I pride myself in, as we all know on the show, of giving sound relationship advice, and you drop some really great knowledge. And
Her TikToks are bomb.
Yeah,
Her TikTok game is so good.
It's like if they like you, they'll let you know. If they don't, they'll confuse
They will
you. And
also
I'm like,
let you know.
super simple. We've given this advice before, and yet you don't see it. And I was like, wow, why do you want to come on this podcast and like talk about life and relationships? And she was like, yeah. And I was like, great. And here we are. So thank you for coming in.
Yeah, thanks for having me. That TikTok, I think, is it's another way of saying he's just not that into you.
Yes.
Yeah, but we have ways, as you kind of mentioned before we started recording, of convincing ourselves that they are into us through a bunch of different ways. And
the mental gymnastics you will do to convince yourself that someone might eventually fall madly in love with you are stunning.
Yeah.
They're stunning.
But before we get into all of this relationship fun stuff, I was curious, like 13 Going on 30, legendary movie. Fan favorite. It's my girlfriend's one of her favorite movies. Do you, being an actor in the movie, do you appreciate it in a different way than other people? Do you still watch it when it's on? Because it's one of those movies that's like always
On all the time.
And for a lot of people, it's one of those movies that not necessarily me, but they will always watch it no matter where it's on.
Yeah.
Are you different than that? Is it weird? How is that? How is that for you?
Yeah, historically, I've always had an issue with watching anything that I'm in, including interviews. It's just like the experience of like being an actor. Like for me, I got into it to disappear into roles and kind of hide, you know? And so now the fact that like people recognize my face and stuff, it's like a little bit shocking. But since it's been so long, I can now watch it and feel completely detached.
That makes sense.
From 13-year-old me, and I can just watch it and enjoy it like I'm a fan. And I am a fan.
It must be incredibly meta for you. Like, obviously it doesn't take much self-awareness to know that you're about to turn 30, but nevertheless, being in that movie about a young girl who's 13 who wishes she was 30, and then she becomes 30, and now you're like, oh fuck. Did that make you feel a certain way? Because growing up, the one thing we always lack, and we'll talk a lot about it, is perspective. Growing up, like, it's the hardest thing to have. You have to live it to get the experience and the perspective, and no matter what our friends, family, and parents tell us, sometimes we just have to learn by fucking up on ourselves. And then when we get to certain birthdays, like 25, I freaked out. I had a really bad 25th birthday. How has that been? Like, does being a part of this movie and getting older and living life, has that helped you getting older? Does that make it, is it even a more kind of like, I never thought I would turn this age, being the 13-year-old girl who's like, I wish I was 30, and you were 13 filming the movie, being like, that'll never happen to me? Or were you wishing you were 13 when you were 30? And how do you think about getting to this age, and what are your thoughts on it? Because a lot of people struggle getting older.
Yeah, it comes up on you quick.
Yeah,
30 does. I'll say that much.
It all does.
So does 40, girl.
It gets quicker.
It gets quicker.
Yeah, it came up quick. 13 feels like yesterday. I mean, it truly does. But I think that at 13, I was probably wishing, more like to be 30, but not in the way my mom would always say, Christa, don't be in such a hurry to grow up. And it's not that I was in a hurry to grow up, but I wanted to experience everything life had to offer. And I still feel that way. Like, I just want to explore. I want to learn things. I want to meet people, see the world, all of that. So it's not about, growing up too fast. I just want to have all the experiences. But it is interesting that I became sort of the poster child for turning 30, because I think that I'm a good person to carry that weight, because I don't ascribe any sort of like negative thing to it at all.
Great.
I think,
have you never had a birthday where you were just like, fuck, didn't want to turn this?
No, I have never let any sort of like metric define me in that way. I feel very
Great.
Personally capable to like define myself by my achievements, my aspirations. And I think that people need to stop defining themselves by all the metrics, the number in your bank account, the number on your birth certificate, the number of followers you have or likes or views you get. I just, numbers, it's really just a number.
Exes, how many divorces we've had.
your what is that called? Your number.
Yeah.
Your body count, right.
Your body count.
Yeah.
We have a lot of women calling in, and guys, I guess, who have lived a life that didn't go out how they planned it, and they are in their mid to late 20s, early 30s, mid 30s, and they are thinking to themselves, can I start over? What does that look like? And there's always a lot of fear and resentment, or not resentment, a lot of fear about what the world will think of them based off of, as you say, these numbers that they've accumulated. And numbers could be relationships they've had that didn't work out.
We are obsessed with numbers.
We are.
And it just doesn't matter.
Hey, remember I told you that Helix Sleep mattresses are awesome? Well, still mean it. They're great. Truly. I mean, I used to think there was no difference in the type of mattress, and then I slept in a Helix. Not only is it just great to sleep on, the experience was great. I took a quiz. Delivery was fast and easy. I didn't have to go to like some mattress store or anything like that. It was amazing. Also, it's just super fun to open up the box. It's like a whole unboxing experience if you're into that type of thing. But the important thing is you can get the best sleep possible. You just take a quick quiz, match it with your body, your preferences, your sleep preferences, and the next thing you'll know, you'll be having the best sleep of your life. Helix is offering my listeners up to $200 off all mattress orders and 2 free pillows just by going to helixsleep.com/VIALL. That's helixsleep.com for up to $200 off and 2 free pillows. Don't have to take my word for it. Helix Sleep was awarded Best Mattress Overall by GQ Magazine and Wire Magazine as Best Mattress of 2020. And up to 100 nights free, risk-free. You'll sleep on it. If you don't love it, on the 99th night, you just send it back. But you will. Trust me on this. I got you. Hey, everybody. Hey, did you know that if you want to get healthy and stay healthy, you need to know more about how you make your decisions? Especially the decisions when you're like at the grocery store, or decisions about what to eat and what you eat it with, and maybe the time of day you should eat, and all these different type of combinations are so important to meeting your health goals, whatever those health goals might be. And maybe it's, maybe you're someone who struggles to put on weight, build muscle mass. Maybe you're someone who struggles to lose weight. You're not sure if you're putting a lot of investing in your exercise and you're not getting the results that you need. Maybe it's because you're not getting the information you need to adjust your diet habits. And Noom is going to help you get there. Based in science and built by psychologists, Noom doesn't give you rules, but instead teaches you how to think so you can accomplish your personal health goals, stick with long-term goals, and get healthy food habits. Over 80% of Noomers finish the program, and over 60% have stuck with their goals for at least a year, and that is important. Diets, they don't work, but you always hear not diets, lifestyle choices, and Noom is helping you build those strong, sustainable lifestyle choices. Personalized coaching, flexibility, and where you digest it. Just 10 minutes a day will help you meet those health goals that you have, whatever they might be. Noom's cognitive behavioral approach means that you're not just improving your health, you're gaining the knowledge and the habits you need to stay healthy. That's what I'm trying to do. I'm just trying to stay healthy, people. And Noom has helped me get there. There's science in getting healthier. It's called Noom. Sign up today for your trial at Noom, Noom.com/VIALL. Learn how to get healthier with Noom. Sign up for your trial today at Noom, Noom.com/VIALL. It took me. I'm jealous that you've had this perspective this whole time, because maybe it's in my analytical brain that I had to get to a place.
It is
where I had to stop caring about numbers, but I wasn't always that person. Were you, when it comes to your growing up and starting to date in your young life? Did numbers matter to you? What do you think about couples early on in dating, exchanging the count, if they will?
The count, again.
Body count, numbers.
It's not a conversation that I prioritize. And I do think that if somebody brings that up with me, like first thing, it really shows you where they are in their evolution as a person, if that's a priority, you know?
I mean, I agree, but what do you mean by that? How so?
Like, there's just so many things that I would get to before that. Like, what are your values in life?
Sure,
and, where do you see yourself? What do you want from a relationship? What do you value in a person? And yeah, if that's like a thing that comes up as something that's important to you, I mean, it's literally like someone asking how much money is in your bank account. You'd be like, what? Who does that? I don't know. Is it
a lot of people? Do you think it's
A
different?
lot of people do it.
Do you think it's different if a man asks a woman that versus if a woman asks a man that?
It's different only because society has somehow decided that like a woman is somehow decreased in value if she has many sexual partners, and a man is, celebrated for it. And
Stud.
yeah, like that whole thing is just so unfair.
Totally.
I'm all about
A sex positive man is looked at differently than a sex positive woman. 100%.
where did that come from? It's insane. But also, like, just the fact that you have that conversation means that you're probably going to assign some judgment to it, right? Like, it's going to go one of two ways. They're either going to be like, oh, this person's, they get around, like, I'm not into it. Or you're going to be like, somehow you're put on a pedestal because you don't have very many. Like, it's just neither outcome is great.
No, you're absolutely right. It is a setup. It's a judgment question.
It's a setup for failure almost every time, because like some people would be turned off by, having like one or two sexual partners ever kind of thing. Like, that's too many.
Maybe it's my evolution as a person, but I don't ask the question to that point, but eventually, I think in a committed relationship, it would make sense to have conversations to learn. Our past can be an indicator of our future. What we've learned in past relationships is important, right? I think those are good conversations to have in relationships at the appropriate time, and not necessarily as like a what's your number, but like it happens. But that being said, I personally, like, in my dating life, I'm trying to find someone who matches me or complements me in all aspects, right? And like I've dated, so therefore, I have a resume, and so
So have you had that talk with your girl? Like, have you thrown numbers out?
No, we haven't had numbers. One time I kind of joked where I kind of guessed, but I was like, it's lower than you probably think. And then she guessed what she thought my number was. And I'm like, I'm not entirely sure, but it's way lower than that, way lower. But my point is that I felt comfortable and more connected to her knowing that she has also had it wasn't like a 1 or a 2 situation. It was, she's dated, lived life. Had different experiences, had some regrets with those experiences.
Right.
Like, that to me was like, oh, thank God. Like it made me more attracted to her. I would have felt uncomfortable had that would have told me that we're at different we're just not connecting there. And I don't want to be the one showing, I don't want to be your sexual guide, as they say. Yeah, nah. Like, I want to know that to me, I find it to be an attractive thing. I found her, like, I still don't, I guess I don't know her number, but because I didn't ask, but I know it's not 1 or 0 or 2 kind of thing, right? And that made me more confident in our sexual connection. And is that how you feel when you're dating people, or do you think it's a benefit to know that there's at least you're relating onto your sexual experience?
Well, what I want to know is, like, are people keeping diligent notes?
I think some people do.
About like each experience, like, and what does it entail? Like, do you have, names and phone numbers and details about the experience, like how many times you had sex, or like how do you come up, like, this number thing? I can just follow that journey, like, as far as it goes. Like, how diligent are people getting with their note taking? I have seen some people on TikTok with spreadsheets.
There are people who make lists. They write it down.
And with like details.
I feel like that automatically assigns a douche factor.
I've heard I've heard as many women doing that as men. And
Oh,
but
yeah.
but the intention I think is different. I think men will do it as a notch on the belt, so to speak, a conquest, if they will. And the women I know do that are more like just tracking my notes as if like, I'm just keeping tabs.
Like a
That's just
journal.
a friendly reminder of what that's more
it's
of a journal.
History.
It's journaling.
a sexual
yes,
autobiography.
it's totally journaling.
Yeah.
It's totally journaling.
Yeah.
Women will journal their yes.
And I love the like brief notes that someone will get. We'll put like, smelled like eucalyptus or like,
Yes.
just really specific notes about the experience. Like, took me for a fast drive in his Lamborghini or like whatever.
But I totally agree with you. I think it's the question, the premise is set up for judgment, especially if you're asking it early on. If you're asking it as a way to like on the first couple dates.
So I
a
want to
red
know,
flag.
like, now that you know that you're gonna have that conversation eventually, like it's something is gonna come up, and you're gonna talk specific numbers. Does it give you any sort of like anticipation, or is it something that you think about often? Like, what is the number gonna be? Like picking lottery numbers and then finding out whether or
No,
not you won.
I don't anymore. Like I said, I don't think I'll ever know her number because I'll never specifically ask. I just know.
He doesn't want to know.
I would. I don't know. It was more like she didn't off. Like one night we were like drinking and having fun and just like talking about stuff, and the environment wasn't like interrogating. It wasn't like we were boyfriend and girlfriend. We had been, we knew each other for over a year. The first time we even talked about it in any type of detail. And she didn't want to tell me her specific number. I was like, I don't care.
It's not going to make a difference to you how you feel about her knowing that.
Correct. But I always knew that like she had experience, right? And I'm just saying that I found that comforting. And you're right. And I think it was because I didn't want it to make it about sex or anything like that. And yeah, people do it all the time. And it's interesting how men and women do it for different reasons. But I always say like the questions you get asked on dates are as important as the questions you ask. And that will tell you a lot. And if you feel judgment, if you feel judged on a date, then chances are you're being judged.
Yes. Yeah. What Susie says about Sally says way more about Susie than it does about Sally.
I've never heard that. Did you
Run that back. Slow down. Play it
Yeah.
again. You'll be like,
It
whoa.
really does. Hey, do you guys like hard seltzers? I know I do. Do you like vitamin C and antioxidants? Also, yes. Do you want to combine the two and have a refreshing drink? Who doesn't? Vizzy Hard Seltzer is combining these beautiful things that we all love into one refreshing drink. And let me tell you, it's refreshing and tasty. Ooh, black cherry lime, my favorite, but they also have other delicious, I can't even say delicious, I'm so excited. Pineapple, mango, strawberry, kiwi, blueberry, pomegranate, papaya, passion fruit, watermelon, strawberry. The list goes on. In April, Vizzy is also launching its own lemonade hard seltzer in 4 delicious flavors. With the same antioxidants and vitamin C. Vitamin C, really great for our immune systems, our overall health, our skin. The list goes on. Low in calories, low in sugar. Vizzy is the drink you want and maybe even need to enjoy your day. Upgrade your hard seltzer to Vizzy. To find out where you can purchase Vizzy, go to VizzyHardSeltzer.com/VIAL. That is Vizzy, VIZZY, hardseltzer.com/VIALL. All you badasses out there who want to protect your eyes but not want to spend a fortune, don't have to worry about losing your sunglasses. Blenders is the sunglass eyewear company for you. Unlike expensive big brand shades that you've probably lost or smashed in the past because you're too busy having fun, because we want to have fun, especially when we're wearing our sunglasses. Blenders are actually affordable. So you're not going to cry if you do lose them. And you also look great. I mean, they got so many styles. They also have blue light glasses to protect your fashion frames out there. Look at Chrissy and her aviators. You're so
having
cool.
fun. This is what fun looks like.
I looked up and I saw the coolest person of my life. It's not just sunglasses. Blenders has prescription glasses, readers, and blue lights, as well as a snow collection with goggles and accessories. Live life in forward motion with Blenders. That's right. Hang 10, my friends, to score 15% off. Score. Don't get. Score 15% off your Blender purchase. Visit blenderseyewear.com and enter promo code VIALL VIP because you will feel like a VIP by wearing your blenders. That's blenderseyewear.com, code VIALL VIP for 15% off blenders rocked with pride worldwide.
Rocked with pride.
Worldwide. Yeah. Yeah, it's
Yeah, again, it's all part of this like attempt by society to assign value to a person using all these different metrics, and depending on how kind of spiritual you are. Like, I think that we are inherently valuable as people just because we exist, beyond the things that we accumulate in this lifetime, including our experiences. And so putting a number on anything, be it age or sexual partners, I'm just like, why? What about the contents of my mind?
Age is just a number from
13
going on 30.
You heard it here first.
No, I mean, you're not going to get a disagreement from me. I was at a gathering over the weekend, and I came into a conversation with women debating dating. And it seemed to be a conversation that was driven by an actual event, and they were, would you be mad, or what's the situation? And they were talking about having friends of the opposite sex when you're like with your boyfriend and girlfriend. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Oh gosh. I look forward to hearing what you have to say about this, because I've always been very open-minded and like, oh yes, heterosexual males and females can be just friends. But as time passes, I wonder about that one, because every time I break up, it feels like there are many mans waiting in the wings.
From your guy friends.
Yeah. Where they're like,
hey.
Like just waiting for the opportunity,
Yeah, I think, one, I think men and women can be friends and platonic friends, but it's not the same as a heterosexual relationship. My women friends who were very much just friends, right? I know the brother and sister, if you will, type of relationship. That was a thought of like, there's no interest. I don't want to see you naked. I don't want to, nothing there. Nevertheless, there would be, while I was a single guy, in some ways they filled the role of what would be a girlfriend. Let's go grab a movie and dinner, And while still very platonic, it would we would hang out with each other more. And then if they got a boyfriend, we would naturally hang out less. And it wasn't because we were less of friends. It was because
the space is filled.
The space is filled,
yeah.
Right? And I think it is a red flag if you're in a committed relationship, but you're not recognizing that space should be filled by your new boyfriend or girlfriend. And there should be only it can become problematic and weird to maintain the amount of times you're grabbing dinner with your girlfriend, friend that's a girl, if you now have if you're in a committed relationship, and vice versa. Like, how much are you fighting for that relationship? I think can raise some red flags.
Well, it becomes an issue of, the amount of quality time you're spending and who is prioritized in your life.
Yeah. And then there's the question of I trust you, but how much do these friends? And then there's
do they have ulterior motives?
Women will say, I heard a lot of women in this group, yeah, you don't know she's hitting on you, but I know. I'm a woman. I have an intuition. Guys will say the same thing. It's just I know what it's like to be a dude. He wants to have sex with you.
Right.
You know, and these are both true statements, but. Yeah, and it is often the case. Sometimes people will pretend to be friends because they just want to stay close. They're afraid to ask. They're afraid to take the leap of faith.
Yeah.
And then they see a window. They meet and it's let's be friends. I'm not creepy. I'm not. You have a boyfriend.
And they befriend your boyfriend.
And then you befriend your boy, which is key. I will say you have to.
Is that the hack? All right,
Well,
let it be known.
It's not a hack. I think if you're going to make it work, it's incumbent on the friend to go out of their way. Like if my girlfriend, right, she has guy friends, right? I'm not asking you to stop being friends with guys. But like, if they want to be friends with you, they should want to be friends with me. It's not your job to make them friends with me.
But does it make you feel any type of way thinking that, many of those friends, there's a possibility that they're waiting in the wings for an opportunity?
I'm very physically attracted to my girlfriend. I think she's great. I just assume that every guy would absolutely have sex with her if she was down.
It's a good assumption. That is a fair assumption.
Like,
I haven't seen your girlfriend,
any
but
single available guy,
yeah,
and
would try it.
And if she was like, "You want to have sex?" I'm just gonna bet that they wouldn't be like, "Nah, maybe." I'm sure. Maybe this is my blind confidence in my girlfriend. That's where the I have to trust her more than anyone else, and I can't necessarily worry. I can't worry about everyone else. It takes too much energy trying to trust everyone. In fact, I shouldn't trust them. But at a bare minimum, he should still want to be my friend, even if deep down he would probably sleep with her.
This also really speaks to your confidence and personal security, because you trust yourself not to, get jealous in a way that is going to interrupt those friendships.
Which brings me to my next question. In the same group of conversations with these women, one of the girls described a situation where she was with her boyfriend and she went to the bathroom or something. She left, and she overheard a girl in a coffee shop, or I don't know where they were, but she heard the girl saying, "Ooh, now's my shot. I'm going to swoop in. I'm going to swoop in and go for it." And she acknowledged how she got so mad, and she came back without realizing where the girl was. I don't know where, but she said, "This fucking bit," and she kind of went off on the girl to her boyfriend without realizing the girl was right behind her. And then she said she felt a little silly, but she's like, "Yeah, fuck it. I actually felt good because I expressed myself." And I was just like, yeah. And all the women in the group were like, "Yeah, that would piss me off." And oh my God, I would be so mad. And would it make you mad? Because I actually had a different point of view given that story of watching in action a woman knowing that you're his girlfriend and trying to make their move on your boyfriend.
I know that the knee-jerk reaction is to be jealous and to be angry. And I know that I would feel those feelings. But ultimately, in my head, I know that a person is going to do what the person wants to do. And if my man wanted to go for it with that girl, he's going to do it, whether whether I intervene or not, whether I chew her out or not. It's not up to me. And it's, that practicing non-attachment to any and all outcomes. I actually was thinking about this a lot on the drive here. Once you truly, can I swear on this show? Mm-hmm. Once you truly do not give a fuck, everything comes to you. Whether it be, career stuff, money, love. Once you truly let it go, that's when it just wants to magnetize to you. And so I think, even in a circumstance like that, she's trying to swoop in and you say to him, go for it if that's what you want. I'm not gonna stop you.
That's what I was just I walked in on it and they know I have a podcast to talk about relationships. So well, what do you think? And I was like, I have a different perspective. And I'm not saying you're wrong. I mean, I get it. You feel how you feel because I can't tell you to feel a certain way.
Yeah.
I get it. I would understand she doesn't respect your space, but me personally, in a relationship, I get a bit turned on in that situation.
That's the thing.
Because
it's transgressive.
Well,
another thesis of mine. Oh my God, do go on.
Well, if I find my girlfriend to be attractive. And
this is controversial.
I
love it.
When the world gets back to normal, we're fully vaccinated. We're gonna travel. We're gonna go out, and I have no doubt that she is going to get hit on. Right?
You hope she gets hit on.
Sure.
You
And
can see that she's still desired by other people.
And it turns you on
I don't
because
want
you're
to-
the one who has her.
I don't want to like hover around her or be afraid to go to the bathroom because like someone might hit on my girlfriend.
No, God, no.
Like, and so knowing that I trust her, like, and I go to the bathroom and I come back and all of a sudden I see a guy wanting to buy her a drink. Thank you. You saved me $8. Like, I'm good, bro. Like, she's not gonna do shit with you.
$8.
You know, like,
Oh my
I don't
God.
really care. I have an absolute trusting confidence in her to not do anything. Some people would say, well, how doesn't that make you nervous that you're putting all that trust? And it's just like, listen, the upside of that trust I have in her, and it does. There's a turn on of like, you want this person so much, but she is gonna, be nice and friendly, indulge but like she's not going anywhere, and she might drink your drink you buy her, but she doesn't owe you anything. She's not gonna do anything with it, and like she's gonna come back to me. There's a sense of power and pride, and a turn on, and having that happen time and time again is worth it. On the off chance that like I'm wrong, that one day she breaks my heart, I see it, and the only thing that's gonna hurt is my and it'll hurt. I'll be wrong. It'll fuck me up a little bit. Don't get me wrong, but I would rather live in a situation where I get the upside of seeing my beautiful girlfriend get hit on and like feeling good about the fact that she's desired rather than like losing my shit because I can't trust all these other guys, nor should I. And I can't trust, women can't trust other women. Yeah. Like women are be like, I don't trust any of these other women. I was like, nor should you.
No.
Of course not.
You can trust a snake to bite you. You trust people to behave exactly as they're going to behave.
But I couldn't imagine living in such fear that one day
Oh
the
my
right
God.
guy is going to come around and she's going to be like, it's worth it. And like, if that's the case, then you know what?
Then it wasn't meant to be. That wasn't your person.
You're not it for me. You're not my person.
Yeah.
And
you got to live with that. And ultimately, life can only be lived forward, but understood backwards, right? And you look back on it and you're like, oh, that person was a mirror to teach me the lesson that I needed to learn to get to this next beautiful place in my life. And, I find that looking back on these situations, inevitably, like there's some silver lining or at least some lesson in it every single time.
Yeah, totally. And it's not going to be like you're not going to feel anything.
Yeah. Oh,
like,
you feel it.
Yeah. And don't get me wrong. There might be a time where like I could see like a super attractive guy and I'll be like, fuck, he's super hot. Like, I feel like a little, but you got to lean into that trust.
And in LA too, like probably the events and stuff that we're both going to, it's like not only are they hot, but they're like some of the most accomplished people in the world sometimes. And you're like, what the, like, how can I compete with that? Like that person's on, the #1 TV show or, it's like, there's a whole other level to it where,
So have you always had that confidence level or is that something you've had to experience?
No, I had to work on that. I'm a Scorpio. So,
What does that mean?
that means we can be pretty
Scorpio.
jealous.
So Scorpios are naturally jealous.
Yeah, we're fiercely loyal and protective and like intense and deep.
I think I can be all those things. I'm fiercely loyal and I certainly can be intense and sure I'm deep.
You didn't seem so sure on that one.
Well, it's one of those things like, I mean, I think
Yeah.
totally.
No, but
does that equate necessarily to, do you have to be jealous to be all those other things?
no, and then jealousy is it's 11:11. Jealousy is one of those things where so I learned my biggest lesson on jealousy in a very specific relationship. I had this boyfriend and he was just one of the smartest people I've ever met and like a socialite.
Mm-hmm.
He was so good with people. And just, he would like flit about life in such an effortless, elegant way. He was like a dandy. He was like Willy Wonka. He was like a magic man. And so it would present in situations like we would go to dinner at like the hottest restaurant in town or something. We'd be in London and it'd be packed on a Saturday night and we couldn't get in. But he was so like flirty and charismatic and engaging that he would go up to the maitre d' and he'd be like, you know, do you have a spot for two? Like, we want to sit on the patio, and make these like outrageous requests that nobody else would make. And they'd be like, bro, no, like we're at capacity. What are you talking about? And the way that he would flirt with the hostess or whatever to ultimately do something nice for us really opened my eyes to what like, you know, what that could be. Like, flirting is not necessarily always about like just ending up in a relationship with someone. It has so many other utilities.
Yes. I feel like we could talk forever about this. As someone who has been described as a flirt his whole life, I've been accused of flirting and I was like, what am I? I don't know. I just thought I was being friendly. And you're right. Like, so when in that situation, did you, at your most insecure or jealous, did you question his motives in that moment of like, why are you being so friendly to her?
Oh yeah. I mean,
like, what, are you trying to fuck her? Or like,
exactly. I was like 21, 22 at the time, I think. And yeah, I would take him to the side and be like, what are you doing? Like you're flirting with the hostess. We're here on a date and you're flirting with the hostess. And it was just this, like, he was so calm and he'd be like, baby, I did it for us. Don't you see? I did it for us.
It's a tricky situation though, because what if could that be, where do you draw the line between like, you know, a little gaslighting, a little manipulation
right.
versus
Yeah.
Right.
The way she just said that was a little gaslighting.
This is like, baby, I did it for us.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, he was faithful to me in the relationship.
But that's where it gets complicated.
Start sleeping with the hostess. Maybe I did it for us.
No, but it's and I, you know, but all jokes aside, I think that's where it's important to like be self-aware of your feelings. I mean, duh. But if you feel jealousy and you feel insecurity, it is okay to express that to your partner. I think sometimes people often confuse that in relationships where the only option to express jealousy and insecurity is in the moment with all the feelings and feels that you were feeling rather than
or an anger
rather than being like, hey babe, I'm going to recognize that like there's maybe a possible scenarios of why this all played out, but I'm just going to tell you how I felt without any accusations of your intentions, but just my feelings. And I just want to talk through it to see if we can get to a mutual understanding.
Yeah. And perhaps next time, could you do this? Communicate your needs in that moment. When you do this, it makes me feel this. Do you think that you could? Would you be open to, you know, and express your needs? People... Yeah, responding with that like explosive emotion, I feel like is most people's go-to. But
flirting really is something I think a lot of people struggle with in relationships because it's a thing that we probably were attracted to our partner when we were getting to know them. It was like, oh, you're so charming and friendly to be around. And yes, they were probably really flirting with us and vice versa. But like maybe it's just their natural thing to just kind of know how to, again, you're right. In that situation with your boyfriend, he probably in a way technically was flirting. Like, what is flirting if nothing else than
it's making another person feel good.
Yes. Yeah.
And isn't that what we should all be doing at all times, is lifting up those around us? And if you're, you know, have a bit of self-control, it doesn't, you know, for most people, it doesn't have to mean that like you want to bang that person. You're just like spreading positivity.
Yeah. It's actually something I just realized in the moment. Maybe like Natalie is, I wouldn't describe her as a flirt, but I think she's like a ninja flirt because she's just really good at being nice all the time. And she's nice to everyone. So if I see her being nice to, I think that's maybe the difference too. It's who they choose to be nice to if it's timely. Like Natalie is just always present and always like, how was your day? I really love that. about you. What a great she's always like focused on the person in front of her, even when I'm with her, like a grocery store checkout person or whatever. So I've never saw, and I don't think I'm not as good at that. So I could see how if I were to be at a restaurant and be like, hey, do you have a, she'd be like, wait, where did this come from? You're not this way all the time.
Right.
Where she is more constantly, and I wonder if it's me never thinking about her being a flirt, even though I guess I know she is, but it's because she's just kind on a consistent basis and thoughtful, where some of us, including myself, aren't always. I have to turn it on.
Well, and that's where I think we need to evolve as a society, because people interpreting kindness as flirting can be problematic.
True. Yeah.
Yes.
People do that all the time.
You know,
Yes.
every like guy that I meet and am nice to at a party, thinking that I want to go on a date with them is
There's
Yeah.
that other aspect.
it's not
of flirting.
useful for anyone. Like we just need to really develop that self-awareness.
Well, and that's
as
the
you
hard
mentioned
part
earlier.
too about like being a young woman who's like going out and seeing people. You have to like, it's either be nice to people and have people assume that means you want to go home with them, or completely be a bitch, which is not helping anyone. So then it's like, where do you draw the line?
Yeah.
Yeah. So men and women are very much both guilty for different ways of misinterpreting kindness and friendliness, and I guess basic level flirting is you want to have sex with that person, or they want to like.
I think it's just everyone's lonely. Everyone just
Well,
wants to be.
Yeah, but
not
even before the
lonely.
pandemic, we were misinterpreting.
Yeah.
We were
For
lonely
sure.
before the pandemic too.
Yeah.
No, but I think what happens, and it's such a shame, is that on that topic of like what initially drew you to your partner is that, you know, over the course of a relationship, you see those circumstances happen, and then you like talk your partner down. And you're like, oh, that makes me feel insecure when you like are nice to that person. What happens inevitably is you like dull someone's shine. You take their light from them through all of those little micro situations.
Don't do this. Don't do that. Ugh, that bothers me. Yeah.
And it over time it all adds up, and it turns into this thing where like you've taken away what initially attracted you to that person.
So how did you, at 21, 22, where your first reaction in that situation that you described was to get jealous or insecure and flirt? When did you develop that self-awareness to not have that be your first reaction, all while still appropriately addressing your feelings if you felt like it needed to be addressed at some point? It's hard to do.
Well, there was a lot of growth in that relationship in general, but something a girlfriend said to me at that time really landed with me, and you kind of touched on it earlier, and that was that when you are in love with someone, you cannot understand how everyone else in the world wouldn't also see that person as like the greatest thing to ever exist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when you
I'm
realize,
like, why don't you want to have sex with my girlfriend?
right, you're like, clearly this is the greatest human to walk the earth. Like everyone would want to be with them, but that's not the case.
Yeah.
It's really not the case. Not everyone's going to see in your person what you see in your person. So that was liberating for me.
True. And even if they do, they still choose you. Like every day waking up and having them be your choice. People always ask, like, how do you keep the spark in relationships, right? Which is a very tough question because every relationship's different, and you know, time is just wears you down. But if you can try to wake up, it's like you have to be, if you accept the possibility that at any moment your relationship can end, it's scary. But at the same time, then you wake up every day and be thankful that it hasn't. And every day that they chose you, every day that happens is a bit of a, wow, again, me? You want to still be with me? What a win. Wow. Same to you, babe. You know, and I think that's kind of, it's a tightrope of not taking it for granted. That's why I've always constantly said like this idea of like this preordained or predestined love or fate, or there's this one person.
The one.
Is a recipe for stale a staleness of,
and disappointment.
And because it's just like, well,
Because you have to choose each other every single day.
yeah, 10 years
It's
in, you're
work.
like, why are we together? I don't know. Because like that was part of the plan.
Because that's what we do.
It's the plan.
We did it then and we're doing it now. And so here we are.
Yeah. So recognizing that your relationship is fragile without getting jealous and insecure and being a neurotic mess, because you're like, oh, fuck, it could end at any day. I don't know what I'm going to do. But appreciating and then waking up and having that person choose you, and they're with you because they want to be with you, not because it's like, fuck, I don't know, I promised, is a great way to keep the spark going.
Indeed. And I feel like a lot of people do just kind of stay in a relationship because like that's what we do. We made this promise.
Yeah. What are some things that you didn't, other than the things we already talked about, things that you didn't think about yourself and how you approach relationships in, say, your early teens and 20s versus now heading into 30?
I don't know if I understand the question.
Like
what have I improved?
No, or just like, how do you see things differently? In terms of
did you like make lists? Like we had that question a lot. Like, did you make lists before? If I want like this,
sure,
this,
list
and
building.
an apartment when you were younger, but now that's not like a situation.
I'll give you an example, right? When I was in my 20s, I had a girlfriend who, once again, I thought she was attractive, and I think she had confidence in herself. And she would talk about, while she didn't think she'd ever do it, the idea of posing for Playboy excited her. And that was like,
yeah.
And I remember we would fight over the thought that she just acknowledged that it would be like maybe a dream, but also, by the way, I could never do it kind of thing. And I would be, I would like, so first of all, we decided that she wasn't going to do it.
We decided.
By we, I don't mean we, but like we
decided.
I didn't mean it like that. I'm saying like
Wow.
we came to like.
Can we just apologize to her right here, right now on the air?
I didn't mean it like I wasn't a part of that decision making process. But
Nick was
here
her
we go.
manager. He said, not today.
But like what I meant by is like I understood. I wasn't worried about her doing it, even at the early 20s, and yet I was so bent out of shape, and still argue with her about like it bothering me that she would even want to. It was a very kind of possessive type of mentality that I had in my early 20s.
Okay. Whereas
Right?
perhaps modern day you would be like, so that desire that you have is maybe like some sort of exhibitionist thing, and how else can we fulfill that fantasy?
Well,
of
my
yours?
response at this point in my life is like, whatever dreams that you have, babe, I'm here to support. And as long as like you're okay, like I'm more like, let's just think if you're asking my advice, my only advice would be like, just think about how you feel about this choice 10 years from now, as much as you can, as much as you're thinking about it now. And then whatever you decide, I support you. But I remember being way more possessive and giving a shit about things. And I guess my point of all that whole story was I was arguing with my girlfriend at the time about things that she said she wasn't going to do. But
just because it was in her heart.
But she was expressing a fantasy.
Yeah.
And her fantasy made me insecure about, I don't know, myself or what she was going to, to that point where like, that's nuts, as opposed to getting older. And not only, again, like it's not even about her doing it. It was embracing that fantasy is something that we could have fun with and play around with in our relationship. And I had to learn that through my own maturity and confidence, because I mean, I think about these fights and it was all my fault. And it would be like, I just wouldn't let it go. It'd be like, do you still maybe it was nuts. It was totally nuts. But yet I did those things, embarrassingly so. And I guess that's a difference between me at like 21 versus me now.
Yeah. And those are the things that you can only learn through like horrifically challenging, conversations or fights that you have with people. That's a big one for me. I used to have, I would fight with boyfriends when I was in my early 20s. Now I choose not to. And I don't end up with partners that fight, really. I don't fight. I don't. I was with someone for 4 years. We separated recently. And the most gorgeous thing about the whole relationship was that we didn't ever say anything that we couldn't take back. To this day, there's nothing that he said to me or I said to him that I'm like, ooh, that's cringy. We never said an unkind thing. We would just communicate rationally, and we would have, you know, the same tensions over and over again that ultimately led to us not being together. But, you know, when you get to a point of communication mastery, like there's no reason to end up in like, you know, these big fights that you see in movies where you're like throwing cell phones and, you know, physically fighting and whatever. I just don't think it has to come to that point. So that has been a big change for me.
Yeah.
I just don't engage. If someone wants to yell and scream, I'm like,
do you think there's a situation where we make mistakes? Totally. But if someone in a relationship says something to someone that they have to get over, you know what I'm saying? Like they said something that was so hurtful and they said it out of anger. If that person who received the criticism or the and they have to actually consciously get over it to your point that the other person had to regret it, is that immediate grounds for considering ending that relationship?
I wouldn't say it's immediate grounds for ending the relationship.
Or at least being open to it.
You have to consider that that's never going away.
Yeah.
And so you choose a partner based on that. Like, does this person understand nonviolent communication? Because if they don't, it will eventually lead to that.
Or happen again.
For sure.
You know.
And probably get progressively worse.
Yeah.
The best indicator of future behavior is past behavior. If they've done it once, they're going to do it again. People tend to get more like themselves, not less.
And with that relationship you're in that you did that, was that you had a relationship in the past that wasn't like that? So was that a combination of you two being like, this is how we're going to have this relationship, or did you know, like for me, it's something that has been more active. Like I wasn't in relationships in the past where I've been in toxic relationships in the past. And again, you can have two normal people
that are just they bring out the worst in each other.
Yeah. And sometimes, you know, like I'm a level-headed, I don't like to get, you know, fired up. It makes me feel very unsettled. So I don't, but so that's something I've actively looked for in relationships. The communication was huge for that very reason of I felt like it was, if I couldn't find a way to communicate early on, I wouldn't go further in that relationship.
Right. A person will let you know very early whether they can communicate well. And I don't know if any of us want to be in a situation where we're like training someone how to communicate. You're either on that level or you're not.
Yeah, that's true. All right. So are you dating now? Are you back in a relationship or in a different relationship?
I'm just having fun.
Great. What are your thoughts on hookup culture?
I support whatever people want to do. For me, like I'm attracted to very like specific people, and it's never who like everyone else is attracted to. Like, I don't know, people talk about celebrity crushes or whatever, and they're like, oh my God, Chris Evans, or like who's the guy with the long hair that plays the I don't know. I don't know.
It's Hemsworth.
Oh yeah, Aquaman?
Him too, or the super like manly macho guy.
What's Aquaman?
Yeah, Aquaman was it Jason? Well, I forget
Jason Momoa.
Yeah,
Jason
exactly.
Momoa.
No,
Not my thing either.
He doesn't do it for me either.
Yeah, it doesn't know.
You know, for me, it's never like people are like, oh my God, your co-star's so hot. He's so hot.
Who's your celebrity crush?
Well, that's the thing, is that I literally am not attracted to people just based on their looks. For me, it is all about the mind, and I'm so turned on by a very smart person. And so
Yes.
How do we feel about Stanley Tucci's like coming? He's really.
Did you say Stanley Tucci?
Are
you trying to matchmake me with Stanley Tucci?
No, but like someone. I find it. He is someone who my brother's ex-wife years ago would be like, I have such a crush on Stanley Tucci, and I was just like,
see, that would be way more
totally
my
see it,
type.
though.
and I was like, what?
Hemsworth.
But recently, I've come to find out, not alone. He's definitely become a sex icon.
Yeah.
It's that like
funny.
austere, yeah. Women love funny men. I could see that.
But so wait, do you? If gun to your head, who's your celebrity crush?
Oh Lord.
Albert Einstein. Someone really
A
smart.
living celebrity crush.
Oh God. Prepare to get canceled, Krista. Elon Musk.
It's like, that's okay.
That's my type.
Why would that get you canceled?
I love that journey for you.
Yeah.
Oh Lord.
There's a
I
lot
love
of
like that nerdy type. I
a
love
lot of
it.
upside, I guess.
Yeah.
There.
He's he's changing the world. I think
He is.
he's
I mean,
so ambitious.
completely changing transportation as we know it. Maybe he's going to save global warming. I don't know. Maybe
Yeah.
maybe not.
He's going to make us an interplanetary species one way or another. I just
Elon,
would
okay.
never go for like a Hemsworth over someone that smart. It's the brain for me every time.
I mean, he's like super smart.
Yeah. Yeah, intimidatingly so.
Yes, where it's just like I want to think I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
But like, oh,
Yeah. I met him once at a party and was just like,
was it Seth MacFarlane's?
no.
Because I saw him once at a party, taller than I would have thought. He's
Was that Seth MacFarlane's?
Yeah, he's a big guy.
He's a big guy.
Yeah.
You gotta, house
Did you
that
hit
big
it
old
off?
brain somewhere.
What's
Did
that?
they hit it off? Like, what was the interaction?
Oh
like?
yeah, you met him. Did you talk?
So I do this thing when I'm intimidated where I go all like aloof and
Sure.
so I was fucking terrified. Sorry. I was terrified and just kind of pretended that I didn't see him until the host introduced me and I was like, I was wearing
Sup?
this. Yeah, I was like,
You're like, I think we need to get married.
Yeah.
no, he was spoken for, but I was wearing this really cool coat that was very environmentally friendly, produced. It's like a recycled thing. It's a really cool brand that does these coats. And so I just sort of had this word vomit about my coat. I was like, you like the environment? Let me talk about my coat. It was mortifying.
Oh, that's
love
fine. Do you think he will remember you?
He just might. It was a very small gathering and a distinctive coat. What can I say?
He's in a relationship, yeah.
He is, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, he's got a
You have
baby,
a baby,
now.
right?
He does, yeah.
He's got
Yeah.
a baby, yeah.
Who knows?
Stepmom Krista.
Oh Lord, no, oh God.
How do you think people in the dating scene should balance dating multiple people at the same time? Because, like if you're dating, you're out there and you're on dating apps and you're swiping and we have this abundance of choice and like you're not in a committed relationship. And if you're not in a committed relationship, then you have the option to go on multiple dates. It can get very messy very fast and very unclear, especially if you start hanging out with someone on a somewhat regular basis. And then when you maybe throw in sex, maybe you start rounding some bases how do you think people should handle that? Is it different for the men and women? And how do you think communication should play out in that scenario?
When I figure it out, I'll let you know. All I can say is communication is key and making your needs known. If you need commitment, if you need to know that they're not seeing other people, you have to communicate that. There's no, just playing games or getting upset when you find out that they've been seeing someone else. You have to communicate it up front. That way you can't, think that you've been burned after.
True. So I'll give you a scenario and how you would handle it. You go on a date, goes great. It goes so well that you guys hook up the first night. I wouldn't call that a one night stand, but you know each other, you know each other's name, but first great date. And then you both mature adults recognize that we had a great night and we did all the bases and we did all the things. Still a lot to know about each other, but I'm excited to get to know you, but let's hang out next week. But since you don't really know this person and you realize that it could go either way, you maybe go on another date. How much does sex change? Even though you're not in a committed relationship, the amount of communication that needs to happen early on at the risk of hurting, does sex change the commitment level in a non-committed relationship almost?
Yes. And the communication level. Big time. I mean, you're talking about people's personal safety.
Yep.
Emotional safety. I think you have to, once you've decided to make that leap, you have to go full tilt with the communication as well.
Is it incumbent upon one of the other parties, or do you
If
have to
you
just be
are-
open to it?
If you're emotionally invested, look, if you're just hooking up with someone, because you want to and you don't want to be alone, that's different. And I think you wouldn't necessarily go as deep there with that communication.
Yeah, no, I agree. I always just tell people it's once you have sex, then you have the right to ask whatever questions you want to know about that person's activity.
So long as you're prepared to deal with the answer.
Exactly. Well,
Because
you might
it's
not get the
very
answer you
likely
want, because
something
what
that you
often
don't wanna
happens
hear.
is we don't ask the questions because we're afraid of the answers.
Yeah.
But I think it's important, and I think women deal with this unfair judgment at all because men don't want to be like a dick, but women don't want to sound crazy. It's like, well, I don't want to sound crazy.
Sound desperate.
Sound
or
desperate.
needy.
I mean, I barely know him. We only went on one date. I'm like, well, you guys had sex. Like, I think you have the right to ask what he's up to.
I also think that men pretend that, or there's this perception that sex doesn't mean as much to men, but I think that men get very attached too. I think y'all are emotional, and a lot of this like structural stuff that we've all become used to is actually like to protect these highly emotional creatures that are men.
I think they very much can, but not always. If he likes the girl and they have sex, then mush city and very vulnerable. And because then I think there's a double standard. Like even men will be like, well, I like you and we had sex, so now I have the right to be super gushy and emotional and almost too much sometimes. I think that can get complicated. That's where the double standards, I think, work.
With any luck, I love an emotional man.
Yeah, well, if you love him back.
Vulnerability.
But like sometimes guys can be like, well, wait. We had, like men have a way of sometimes demanding emotion from women unfairly if once they decide to like a girl.
Right.
It's like, I like,
Right. Do you love me? Do you love me?
I love
Do
you,
love me, right?
we've had
Yeah,
sex.
right.
And meanwhile, but yes, I think, and we've talked to like Dr. Brenner and other things like that women seem to have an emotional connection on a more regular basis with sex where guys don't always have that, and they seem to more easily disconnect in a sex situation, and they don't necessarily have to feel feelings. It seems to be the norm, and so that's where it can get complicated, where I think then women will feel more judged if they want to set any expectations up front now that they've opened up, kind of like, we're having sex and I don't want to sound crazy.
Right. I think that it's that giving receiving energy. And the giving is definitely more of a dominant energy. And so the receiving can be vulnerable. And that's where that comes in.
Yeah.
It's the emotional mirroring the physical.
It's just it's a challenge out there. Oh, would you ever break up with someone via text? And when is it okay? When is it not in the dating spectrum?
I never would.
What about
And I think it's
one date?
completely unacceptable.
You go on one date, no hooking up.
Then that's not a breakup. You weren't with
Okay,
them.
so where in the
Yeah.
spectrum is it totally full bullshit to text someone? Like you in a committed, like we define the relationship, we're boyfriend and girlfriend for 6 months. Okay, we agree that's bullshit. But when is it okay to be like, hey, listen, this isn't working for me?
I mean, especially if you've hooked up with someone.
A lot of people, everyone assumes, and that's where we're making everyone mad, because a lot of people just assume. That's where ghosting comes in the situation. So like, hey, they knew we didn't vibe. I don't have to reach out to that person. And meanwhile, the other person's the other side of me, like, they ghosted me. I never heard from that person again.
That's funny. I've always joked that if I had a podcast, it would be called Where is the Line? Because there are so many topics like this where it's like, when does good become bad? When does, black become white? There's so many things that it's like, where is the line? And this is one of them. But I think, like when you've had that intense emotional connection, and people want to cop out and say it wasn't that serious. But that's because there's infinite choice now with the internet and dating apps.
Yes.
It has created bad behavior in people.
I'll tell you the solution to that. Montana. Less than infinite choices.
No, because you could be talking to someone from anywhere. I was recently talking to someone in another state, and we met for the first time in a different state than the states that we both lived in. And it's just like, you're not limited anymore, by geography. Just be a stand-up person in any circumstance. I never want to behave in a way that like somebody can look back on it and be like,
no, I know, but the only thing you're not considering is you might feel different. Like, I agree that there's some situations that are pretty like black and white.
Okay,
right?
so is there a line for you?
I don't really know. Yeah, I think I think that the goal is to think about how that other person might be feeling, and then your first reaction, an honest reaction, how they might be feeling is probably the right one, without trying to be like, they don't care as much. They're fine. They'll be okay. And when you have to start justifying, and if there's any chance that you think they care more than you do, they probably do. Then trust your gut, right? And if that's the case, then do what you would want someone to do to you. Kind of the golden rule of it all.
Yes.
But I think more often than not, instead, we will be like, oh, it's not a big deal. They don't care. And they'll make up excuses like, well, it's just awkward, and I don't want to hurt their feelings, and they probably don't care anyways, and I don't want to assume. And then we get into all these situations where then we just opt out and choose to ghost and leave and leave people hanging and wondering questions and things like that.
Yeah. For me.
And all these people would claim that they want to be good people.
Oh, for sure. Nobody ever sees themselves as the villain.
Yeah.
But for me, in life, always play the long game.
Great.
Do the thing that aligns with having more character. So even if you think, oh, they don't care, it's not that big of a deal, treat it as if it is a big deal, and treat others with utmost care. Always.
I couldn't agree more.
Play the long game.
Let's wrap up and play a quick game of Do You Know Me? We play this with all our guests.
Let's do it.
It's really easy. I'm going to ask you a question. Chrissy, myself, and Allie will guess the answer to this, so don't answer right away.
Okay.
And if you have an anecdotal story you want to share of your answer, great. If not, no problem.
Okay.
All right. Do you know me with Christa Allen? Does Christa consider herself to be an introvert or an extrovert? Ambivert.
I was just about to say ambivert.
Yeah. She likes going out, but she likes her alone time.
She likes her dog and
she
her
likes
yard.
being in those one-on-one deep conversations at a party.
Specifically with Elon.
Specifically with the Musk.
That is correct. Y'all clocked me. Very good. Historically, I've been an introvert. Yeah. I've been an introvert, but I'm learning to be more extroverted, and I'm very proud of myself.
Interesting. Yeah. I'm learning to accept that I've always been more introverted than I've told myself. I'm more of an ambivert as well.
Look at us all growing. Magic.
Evolving. That's that self-awareness.
Has Christa ever accidentally sent an inappropriate text or email to the wrong person? I feel like you're too measured.
I feel like, what is inappropriate? Like to the wrong person probably, but I don't know if she'd
Yeah,
like...
like
inappropriate is
It's
it could
text
be
or email, right?
Yeah, it could be anyone. We're like, oh, I
Yes.
did not want to send it to that person, and I'm a little embarrassed. Not necessarily a nude or anything.
Yeah.
It's just a.
I feel like she's most definitely
Not
like
for you.
accidentally texted the person that she's talking about. I always do that. Like if I'm thinking about them and I
Yeah.
want to text about them, I'll accidentally send it to their name. That's bad.
I'm gonna go with my gut and still
I'm
say
gonna go
no.
with yeah.
I'm gonna say no.
Not really. There was this one time for a work thing. It was like, I thought it was a done deal. So I screenshotted a text conversation and then sent it to the person.
Oh, then yes.
The text conversation was. But
Yes.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was the one time. I am pretty measured and very well considered. Like I read an email 15 times before I send it. It's probably not healthy.
Most of the things that we do serve us well and hurt us all at the same time.
It's true. It's true.
Question number 3. Has Christa ever tried to make someone jealous? Like consciously say, I want to make them jealous.
Oh. Like 22-year-old Christa perhaps, but not 30-year-old Christa.
Well, this is ever.
Ever. I'm sure ever. Like you could be on the playground showing like Billy your fancy Play-Doh and be like, be jealous.
I'm going to say no based on the idea this is about self-awareness. And then I think she may have made someone jealous, but not in a Machiavellian way, where if she knew that she was doing it, she wouldn't do it.
She would have been upset.
Yeah, I don't think it was intentional.
I agree.
I think y'all are wrong.
Okay, great. Thanks for the honesty.
Yeah, I definitely I think success is the best revenge. So the best thing anyone can ever do is doubt me. It like drives me so much, and so in that way, yeah, I'm kind of getting revenge all the time and like trying to make people jealous all the time.
No pun intended, Krista.
No, exactly that.
Revenge.
Exactly that. And by the way, I recommend this to everyone. If someone has hurt you, if some situation in life has hurt you, go be the best version of yourself and, you know, flip that situation on its head. It's better for everyone.
Yeah.
Revenge.
Get revenge.
I had an ex-girlfriend cry on my shoulders at her bachelorette party. Felt good.
Why were you at her bachelorette party?
Because she showed up at the place that I hung out with at every Saturday.
Seems intentional.
That was a win for me.
I want to see a dramatic reenactment of that on TikTok.
No, she's happy.
Well, Nick's got the wigs for you. Got the wigs
I do
for
have
it. You
the
can do
wigs
it.
for it. Yeah.
We'll write it. We'll do it.
All right, Allie picked this question. Just a heads up. Has Krista ever used props for sex? We're sex toy positive on this show, so no judgment.
Well, props doesn't necessarily need to be a sex toy. It could be a
wigs.
costume.
Could be
Yeah.
costumes.
A dress.
But sex toys
Hand
also
props.
would be a prop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
I can't answer this question.
A simple yes or no will suffice.
All I can say is,
Maybe.
you know, self-love is very important.
Yeah, it is.
Right, ladies? Am I right?
Amen.
Yeah, we have
Amen.
we're sex
Amen.
positive, and we have an all-female audience that will greatly appreciate the positivity. Last question: has Krista ever walked out on a movie?
On what?
A movie
On a movie?
in a
Like it was
theater,
so bad.
not like turned it off because like
Yeah, no, you have to actively walk out.
no.
No.
I feel like no.
I will one up you and say that I walked out on a screening at a friend's house.
Ooh.
It was just so bad.
I went with a friend. There was this movie that was coming out. I really wanted to see it. It wasn't released for all these like technical reasons. And my friend was like, "Oh, my friend produced that movie. We can like just go to his house and watch it." And halfway through the movie, we were like, "We cannot stay to the end of this because he's going to be like, 'So what did you think of my movie?' And we're going to have to tell him." So we like said that we had to
You're
feed
like,
the dog
"Oh,
or
my-
something.
yeah."
And we just went home.
Okay,
I can't believe I admitted that.
that's fine. I'm pretty sure your friend doesn't listen to this podcast.
They'll never watch. They'll never watch.
Krista, thanks so much. This has been so much fun.
Thank you so much.
Can you let the people know where they can find you on all things internet related and then some?
I am Christa Allen on the internet. Yes, at Christa Allen. TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, all the things.
Great content out there.
Her TikTok is so fun. I got like, I'm new to the TikTok, and I got like.
No, I was like,
buried
who's
in
this
your
person?
TikTok
Like
for a minute.
while
Yeah.
entertaining, I'm like, oh, it was like 13 going on 30. Yeah, great. You know,
I love TikTok. I love TikTok.
you're
The
crushing it.
TikTok with the dress and the thriller thing is like beyond.
Oh, wait until you see what I have planned for my 30th birthday.
When
I
is
can't
your
wait.
30th
We're
birthday?
going to knock it out of the park. It's
November
11/11. I'm going to contact
This year
this year.
coming up.
Yeah. I want fans to be able to come. So I'm going to organize something where like fans
Well-
can come.
Can we come as fans?
Yes. No, you're friends. You're friends. But yeah, I'm going to get Versace to recreate the dress. Like I want to go all out. Inviting Jennifer and Mark, of course.
I mean, I gotta say, they
like
they
Mark
hit it
would
out
be
of the
a
park in
celebrity
casting,
crush.
not only obviously with your amazing acting ability, but like you guys kind of look like each other as adults. Like I
Yeah.
was on the same plane. I never met Jennifer in life, but she was on the same plane as I walked past her, and so I guess I've seen her in person. But yeah, there's a striking resemblance there.
I'll take it. She is gorgeous inside and out.
Yeah.
I mean, truly.
Well, thanks so much for coming. This has been a ton of fun. Guys, thanks for listening. As always, we appreciate you doing so. Don't forget to rate us 5 stars on iTunes. Sending your questions at asknick@castmedia.com. Cast with a K. You interested in coming back for Ask Nick episodes and give relationship advice to our dear callers out there sometime?
Oh, we have callers calling in?
Yeah.
Yes. Wonderful. Let's do it.
It's a lot of fun. So Christa will be back for that. So sending your questions. And if nothing else, we will see you back on Monday.